Hey everybody, this video is part of our full-length The Onside Kick podcast. You can find that on Blog Talk Radio, iTunes. You can pretty much find it anywhere, so we don't care where you listen. Just stick around and check it out.
But Mark, we're going to move on. The next team we're talking about, they finished third in the division last year, the Denver Broncos. And Bronco fans, I'm going to tell you yet again, this year I'm probably not going to hate on you guys as much, but I've got to say it. I told you so. I told you guys you weren't going to make the playoffs. You didn't listen to me. I just have to put it in your face one more time. But talking about the Denver Broncos, the big losses that they have coming into the season, like we said, Russell Okung, he is now in L.A. We've got Webster's no longer there. Sylvester Williams is no longer there. And obviously DeMarcus Ware leaving as well. Some of the big guys that they have coming in, we've got Pecco coming in on the defensive line. We've got Leary coming in. We've got Jamal Charles coming in for the running back game. And this is a team, Mark, where I feel like the place we need to start with this one is who's going to play quarterback. Because this is a team, I still don't think Trevor Siemian is the guy. Why did you draft Paxton Lynch if, is he going to have to wait another year to develop? And with the last pick in the draft, they went ahead and took Chad Kelly.
Swag Kelly.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Or as Sean calls him, Cad Kelly. Mm-hmm. So they take Chad Kelly. I almost said Cad Kelly because
Swag
of Sean.
Kelly.
Swag Kelly. Mm-hmm. Swagalicious Kelly. But this is they don't have a quarterback to me. Trevor Siemian is not the answer. He's probably going to be the starter, let's be honest. But they still didn't fix the quarterback position.
Well, they have this long-term project that they drafted in the first round. That's Paxton Lynch. And John Elway seems very okay with the fact of trying to go a Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers-like route.
Except Trevor Siemian's not Brett Favre.
Hey, you know what? Time will tell for all you Trevor Siemian fans out there. No, I mean, I should say for all you Wildcat fans out there.
Yeah.
But, they're trying to have this kind of long developing situation go on here with Paxton Lynch because he does have more things to work out mechanic-wise, blah, blah, blah. I have never really been a fan of Paxton Lynch. I didn't think it was a good draft pick. I didn't think he was a good prospect. Although I did think that whoever drafted him back then would be one of those teams that has the ability to work with him for a while. Trevor Siemian's one of those guys where he doesn't necessarily do anything to lose the job. He's also not really doing anything to say, that's our guy. 18 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. All right, you're not upset. 3,400 yards. Once again, you're not upset. Really what it comes down to for the Denver Broncos, though, of course, is the fact that the way this team is built, they are supposed to be a defensive team that runs the ball really well, and the quarterback does smart things. Trevor Siemian does smart things with the football. It's just that the defense, who is there, they're not getting the support from that run game. That run game is really what the biggest miss was to me last season. And quarterbacks we knew were going to take a step back. You knew that you had a game manager in Trevor Siemian, who just needed help, and he didn't get that help. Nobody got help from one of the weakest running games in the NFL last year.
Well, and I mean, they go ahead and they keep C.J. Anderson because there was the whole thing of, is he going to leave? They pay up for him. And then also, it's like this offseason, they go ahead and who's the big running back that I mentioned that they're bringing in? Jamal Charles?
That's a big one.
I look at it and I go,
I like Jamal Charles.
I like it if he's on the field. That's the big thing. It's kind of like the thing I said about Keenan Allen last segment is what I'm going to say about Jamal Charles. If he's on the field, great. You've got a solid backup, a solid 1-2 punch with Anderson and Charles. But the thing with Charles, and I know this very well because I draft him in fantasy a lot of times, and he gets injured all the time, is he's injured. That's what it is. He just gets
he's
injured.
Not going to really have to be that main guy. In Kansas City, he was, that's guy number one.
Until kind of Tyreek Evans took the job from him a little bit.
But a lot of that,
Charkandrick West took the job from him. Spencer Ware took the job.
a lot of
from
that
him.
was on the kind of decline there for him in Kansas City. C.J. Anderson's going to take a lot of that off. Booker's going to take a lot of that off as well. Not a lot, but he's going to be there getting carries as well. So they're, I don't think, going to press Jamal Charles too much. They'll understand and allow him to kind of be healthy. I would hope. That's the game plan for them, and they're not going to say, go out there and do it. But just getting that going, even just having the threat of another guy who's very reliable is going to, of course, improve the rest of the team and get them back to the way they were when they were successful.
Yeah, and I mean, I look at this team, to me, is in a very vulnerable situation because you looked at it last year, a 9-7 team, and you might look and say, hey, you know what?
Better than you expected. A lot of people expected.
9-7, that's a winning record. You can look at it. However, you still have a new coach coming in Vance Joseph. I don't really like your offensive coordinator. I don't think Mike McCoy maybe is an offensive coordinator better than he was as a head coach.
He's a good offensive coordinator, no doubt.
I don't think he's going to be able to do anything though with Trevor Siemian or Paxton Lynch. That's the big question.
He's a good guy with quarterbacks.
With the quarterback situation. However, I look at the rest of this team and it's like I look at the wide receivers. Cool, we've got Thomas and Sanders still. You've got guys to throw to. You've got guys on the running backs, like we talked about with Anderson and Charles. We've got, like, the biggest thing defensively that made me be like, oh, that's a loss is DeMarcus Ware. I don't necessarily know if the next man up, either whether if it's Sirik or Wolf, if they're able to kind of fill in that rush side of it.
But they did draft Walker as well.
They did draft Walker. However, right now, is he going to be kind of fast-tracked, using a term from the Browns? Is he going to be fast-tracked for a starting position? I know they got Pico to be the nose tackle. I mean, Von Miller's still there. The other Brandon Marshall, don't get him mixed up on Twitter, is still there. They still got Shane Ray, Talib, Ward, Harris. The defense is still there. The only thing I wonder with this team is, are they going to be good enough to be like, yeah, we're a winning record, but man, the Chiefs and Raiders, man, they just got our number.
And that's really the problem for the Denver Broncos is the fact that they kind of are still that third team. And they have potential to get ahead of a Kansas City Chiefs.
Because the defense is like I'm naming all those guys. Maybe with Shane Ray is the main kind of one where I would take out of it. Like Von Miller, Brandon Marshall, Ward, Talib, Harris. They're all getting old every year. Every year they're a year older. That's how it works. Sanders and Thomas, same thing. You're a year older. This whole team's getting older, and it's going to be, I think it's one of those things where I know the window isn't like ready to close, but you got to figure that quarterback situation out because you don't want that window. Like Paxton Lynch is ready. Bam, the window's closed.
Well, I think the thing for them and the quarterback situation, they're still, I think in their eyes, they have it figured out. They're just still working on it, if that makes sense. Like, they know the answer is Paxton Lynch. They just need to get a few more things fixed for Paxton Lynch, and then he will be what they're viewing as the quarterback of the franchise.
No, that's what I'm saying. They got to get that. They got to, A, get it figured out, B, get it into effect sooner rather than later, because I kind of look at it and think what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of the trek that we're seeing right now with the Raiders, young talent, and they're on this kind of trajectory. Yeah. I feel like with the Broncos, it's Super Bowl, and right now their trajectory is going this way as they are watching the Raiders kind of pass them by and go
that's
right
a
up.
New word by Ricky. Trajectory.
Trajectory.
Is a brand new one. Or projection. Either one. You combine them into one word. But the thing you like about the Denver Broncos is how much of this young talent they have drafted, and they have them in positions where they are learning and they are getting to get their reps a little bit, and then they can kind of take over.
Like I did like the Garrett Bowles pick. You lose Okun, like we said, goes over to the Chargers. You get his eventual replacement in Garrett Bowles.
None of the people that they drafted in this draft are
going to take over right away.
Exactly. They are all people who have the opportunity to sit, learn, and kind of study up.
Jake Butt, I like that one too.
Yeah, I just don't think that there's too much of a difference this year than last year for the Denver Broncos. The team is pretty much the same, with the exception of getting a guy like Jamal Charles in there to help out the run game. Besides that, I really don't see that much that's different. I don't expect that much different out of the team this coming season either.
Yeah, and I mean, this could be a team that, I mean, looking at, I know we're going to do the game-by-game predictions just later on, but this is going to be a team where, I mean, I look at the schedule. Division's obviously going to be important because I think that they can sweep the Chargers and then maybe split with the Raiders and the Chiefs at best. Like, if we're looking at, to me, a win, it's like, great, we got 4 wins in the division and only 2 losses. That's the best you're going to do. However, I could see them maybe going a 3-3 or even a 2-4 at worst in this division. And then it's like, you got games. The Giants are going to be hard. Dallas is going to be hard. That's week 2 Dallas, so they might not have a ton of injuries by that time. There might not be a lot of guys banged up by that time like you might get at the end of the season. The Giants are going to be tough. The Patriots are going to be tough, like I said. The Redskins late in the year. This is a schedule that has its spots where it could be difficult on top of those 2 divisional opponents that I mentioned in a Raiders team that's going this way and a Chiefs team that is already at the top of the division. And they're a team that we're saying is, yep, AFC West champions. How are they going to do in the playoffs?
And the hard thing for them going forward with this season, you know, and they do have some, I'll call them easier games, more winnable games later on in the year. You know, Dolphins, Jets, Bengals. They do have some of those games, but early on in the year where this is a really tough schedule, the hard thing is what's been the talk lately is that the Broncos offense is kind of slowly learning the playbook. I don't want to say they're struggling to learn the playbook, but they're kind of slowly getting used to Mike McCoy's playbook. And that's the kind of thing that can lead to early mistakes in weeks 1, 2, and 3. You know, that can lead to these kind
Maybe
of
the Chargers jump
side
on
issues.
Maybe the Chargers jump on them week 1.
And you could lose one of those games that you thought should have been a winnable game for you.
At Buffalo week 3.
And that kind of puts you behind. That kind of ruins the schedule. And then all of a sudden you're the team that's trying to play catch up. And it's a tough schedule. So it's going to be hard for to me, I had the Denver Broncos kind of still in that 3rd place.
Yeah, it's going to be tough to, like I said, to me, the big question with them is that quarterback situation, but obviously it's not like they were going to go out and try to get a free agent quarterback. They weren't going to try to trade for a Jimmy Garoppolo. They weren't in a situation like the Browns, Niners, or Bears were with a quarterback, or even the Jets were with a quarterback situation. They're kind of, to me, how I would describe their quarterback situation is kind of quarterback purgatory, where it's like, yeah, we don't have Tom Brady, but at least we're not the Jets, or at least we're not the Browns, or
They've
at least
got
we're
their
not the
idea.
Bears.
They just need to see how it goes. And honestly, they're actually in a pretty similar situation to, you mentioned, the Chicago Bears, of the fact of, we got this guy who's kind of a veteran, a little bit established.
They're just a year ahead of it in the process.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And then they got the young guy who they're developing. So very similar situation.
Well, and the last thing I will say about this team is they just, to me, it's those divisional opponents and the Raiders and the Chiefs. What can you do against those 2 teams this year, especially the Raiders, because they kind of shocked the world. They didn't really, I expected a little bit better.
A lot of people were high on him, yeah.
I did not expect them to be as good as they were. It looks like Derek Carr has that team going, and that team is turning the corner at the right time, and now people are going to be more excited for the Raiders heading in. But we're going to turn it on to you guys. Let us know, Bronco fans, what do you think down below in the comment section about your team heading into the 2017 year? Let us know down below in the comment section.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that, and don't worry, there is plenty more where that came from. You guys can check it out right over here. Click that video, start watching it, and just stick around on Most Valuable Podcasts.